Yeah, this will be the praise quant review session for the period of February 2022. I'll be facilitating. Livia, are you down to take notes again?
Yeah.
Wonderful, thank you. So we'll just get started with intentions and distractions. My distraction is all the things I was supposed to be doing while I was in meetings. And my intentions is to facilitate. And I will pass it to Bunjue.
My distractions are my thoughts and emotions, whatever they may be, intentions to be happy, and to continue contributing to the TEC. I'll pass it to Zeptimus.
Thank you, Abunchu. Yeah, my intention is share my feedback on the praise. My experience actually was better this time. Distractions, none. And I'll pass it to Bear.
My intentions are to continue learning more about quantification and praise. Then my distractions are growing food and eating it. And I'm going to pass it to Livy.
Thanks. My distractions is I'm eating. Do you guys know this fruit? I think it's a Brazilian fruit called jabuticaba. And then you bite and it's white inside and explodes in your mouth. It's really good, but it's kind of messy.
It's
So
not like
Oh,
the
it looks
blueberry.
delicious.
it's not a blueberry. It's very different.
Can you bite through it so we can see the inside?
Okay. It's like, can you see it?
Oh, interesting. I don't think I've ever
Wow.
had that.
It's delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, and I'm trying to find emojis for this post on the praise, rules of praise. And yeah, my intention is to take notes and learn more about everyone's experience with quantification. Back to you, Mitch.
Yeah. So let's get started. I think everyone in here quantified, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But we'll just go around and maybe just say how comfortable your quantification was. And we'll start with Zeptimus.
Yeah, actually, like my experience was way better. I don't know if that was a thing that already was there or something that I just discovered, but when you're mark price as duplicate, you don't need to put like the hashtag 5DFR or whatever. You just put the numbers and it also works. I don't know if new or if I just learned that, but that was super helpful to mark duplicates. And yeah, like I feel like every time I'm doing it faster, and I don't know.
Nice.
I'll pass it to Bear.
Yeah, for me, I think there was a bug that's still not solved of like some duplicates we just can't put that they're duplicates, and it happened more than the last times. And yeah, the thing with the Mount Manu praises, I just realized that they were all like so one next to the other. They were too similar to be duplicates or from. It was confusing, so I asked him, and he said that he was doing sometimes 2 weeks in a row. So that's why we were seeing like praises that were actually from different weeks, but then they were showing up right next to the other. And maybe it was a continuous work that someone was doing, like participating in the rewards working group. And then it would seem like it was a duplicate praise, but it was actually from 2 weeks. So yeah, we've been looking into that of the problems of the transcription. Hopefully we'll solve that soon. I'll pass to Mike.
Yeah, thank you, Livy. Yeah, this is I think my third or fourth round, and I find it's working very well. I mean, I didn't have any problems with not being able to identify duplicates, for instance. Every time I tried it, it worked okay. The only thing I think is that when you've got, one, well, let's use an example. Let's say there's 50 to go through. It's pretty difficult, although not impossible, to find duplicates easily. I think will be my feedback on that. Other than that, yeah, went very well. Maybe can I pass it to Mitch?
Yeah, sure. Mine was pretty easy, I think. Again, I'm just waiting for this like upgrade to like marking duplicates. I think it'll erase a lot of these problems with just like duplicate fatigue. But apart from that, I was really noticing what Livy was saying with like the transcribed praise like coming through, and it was really hard to sort out duplicates in that sense. Yeah, that was it from my end. I'll pass it to Bunjue.
It went fairly smoothly this round. This is my second pull. The people that I reached out to, I think I would say 80% of them got back to me for clarification, and that helped me out a lot, especially with one praise mentioning referencing articles, but I didn't know for what context that was. And at the surface, it seemed like a 3 or a 5, just referencing articles. And then when I spoke to that person, she clarified like the extent, like these were really lengthy articles, and it took that person a good amount of time to find them. So that helped allow me give a more accurate score. No issues with duplicates. I think some of the duplicates I marked as a duplicate because it was a minor variation of a previous price. But yeah, overall, very smooth. And I think I'm the last one, so.
Yeah, indeed. So we'll move on to this one. Was it easy to sort out duplicates? Did you have any questions about a specific duplicate that was giving you trouble? I'll just leave it open if anyone has anything where they got stuck and they weren't sure to quantify it as a duplicate or anything like that. Okay.
I had some places where it was looking like a duplicate, but I was not so sure. So my instinct decided just to quantify it twice. I don't know if that was a good move, but I do not remember who it was. But I remember that feeling of probably it was Edu because so many people. I don't know if it was Edu, but yeah, there was like very similar praise, but at the same time like different vibes, and I felt like quantifying it twice. I don't know if that's what we expect as a group or. or not.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember like what it was from?
No,
Tough to
but
say, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was Edu. I don't know if.
All right. Well, if you remember it, just
Yeah.
bring it up. Yeah.
I think it should be fine if you had a judgment of it, like you thought about it and then you decided that it was worth quantifying. I think that's fine.
Mhm.
Okay. Thanks, Louis.
Yeah, going forward, if you remember it, Zep, we can bring it into these calls and like maybe help us.
Yeah, I should mark it. Then it's better.
Yeah, no problem, no. Anyone else? Anywhere they got stuck, like marking duplicates or something they weren't sure about? Okay. Cool. Were you able to find enough context to adequately quantify praise? We'll just go around one by one. You can say yes, or if you want to say more, go ahead. Can start with Bunjoy. I'm curious, since it's your second time, if you had a... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just to echo what I already said, this time around I put in a lot more effort, and the praises where I thought it would be helpful to get more context. I did. I reached out to those individuals. I think all but one or two got back to me, and it really helped out. And it wasn't like a very high effort action on my part. I simply sent them a DM, one sentence, and they got back to me usually within the day. And I thought that I would, have to go back and forth, but it's just literally one DM gave me a lot of context of the amount of effort put in, and it allowed me to give a more accurate score. I would have given, for like that one example, I would have given a 3 or 5 for those articles. I think it ended up giving her, I think it's 15 or 18. I don't know how the scale works. So yeah, no
Nice.
issues there. A lot of the members here are very active. Like I said, I think 2 out of 8 or 9 did not get back to me, but the rest did.
Cool.
Yeah, it was
Nice.
great.
Thank
So
you.
I'll pass it to Mike.
Thanks. Yeah, and what I'd said before is probably the main thing that I wanted to say. The only other thing I would say, though, is that obviously there's two sides to praise. There's those who are praising and those who are being praised. I think what I think I'm seeing, and this is bearing in mind, I know this was February, but I think I'm seeing people more effectively using praise in what they're saying. More detail, more context. That's what I find. Pass it to Livy, please.
Yeah, there was a couple that I got that I was not sure. I think it was around the translation team, and another one was of someone working on something technical that I had never heard the name, but then I just assumed it was a high impact work because it was similar to praises given to like Sam and Paulo. So I kind of assumed. And as to Nugget, just joined.
Sorry for being late. Yeah, I think most of the time I had enough context. I think like yeah, and in the praises that were just like you were for or stuff like that, I felt that most of the time I understood what was being talked about. So I'll pass to I don't know who went already. I just jumped in.
I can take it.
Cool. Yeah.
I can you repeat the question? I know what I wanted to say, but
You're so excited for it, man.
yeah.
If you had enough context to quantify your praise
Oh,
adequately.
yeah, I remember now. Yeah, I feel like no, like we should still do some education on the. Like I felt like I was fine because I'm so involved in the community, but I feel like some parts were like, okay, I know like this guy did this, and okay, this deserved this amount or this other amount, but I felt like it was not because it was in the praise. It was more like because I knew the guy and I knew what they were doing. Yeah, like I feel like we should do some more education, and I think we're doing great. Like the thing about we're trying to push in the community, transcribing praise and everything. Yeah, like you, Mitch, and Livy are doing. I think would solve those stuff. But yeah.
Cool. Do you want to pass it, Zep?
Yeah, I'll pass it to Pat.
Oh,
Hey, actually, I haven't been able to quantify yet, so I'm here as a listener to learn. I'll pass
no
it.
problem.
Yeah, sorry. I'll pass it to Septimus.
Zep just
No?
passed it to you, actually.
Oh,
So
sorry.
it's all right. We'll pass it to Bear.
Thank you.
Great. And wow, I think we're just missing myself and yeah, I think it was fairly easy for me. Yeah, I think Livy was right. There's some stuff that happens in comms that I don't know what's going on. And so maybe that's something that we could point to, like weekly updates. I don't know. Yeah, I think Zep has a point. Maybe there's a better way to get the information from working groups. So that was where I struggled. And was there anybody else who quantified who hasn't gone yet? I think we got everybody. Olivia, did you go?
Yes.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. And then real quickly, if anyone has like an anecdote, what did they learn about the TEC from quantifying? That's kind of fun. And I'll pass it to Mike.
Yeah, certainly. I'm learning a lot from quantifying. You know, being fairly new, you know, going through these things really is really helping me, and you know, appreciate being able to do that. And I'll pass it to Zepti. Hope I said that right.
Yeah.
There's something
For me,
specific, though, Mike, that you remember that caught your attention?
Well, I mean, not really. No, you know, I mean, it's just seeing what everybody's saying, and then, you know, it's help. I think the point I'm trying to make is making people quantifiers who are fairly new. I think is very helpful in understanding things overall. So it's more of a general feeling that I'm getting, or information, or learning. Thank you, Livy, and I'll pass it to Zepti.
thanks, Mike. Yeah, for me it was like a good experience to remember all contributions, but yeah, nothing like got my attention in concrete. I'll pass it to Bonchu.
Yeah, I learned a lot about Omega. They have a TE consilience library, and people can write a research paper about like a novel they've read. I believe it has to be nonfiction, or you know, a religious topic. At least that's my understanding of it. So that was really interesting. And there's a few other new things that I learned, but they're not coming to mind right now. So yeah, I think this is a great way for new members to get an idea of all the working groups and an idea of the different personality types and the projects people are working on. So yeah, quantification is the way to go in that regard. Best way to get up to speed, in my opinion. I'll pass it to Nuggin.
Thanks. Yeah, I was trying to remember exactly what it was because there was one thing where I thought like, oh, that's nice to know. But it was about somebody jumping in and organizing something in the last minute and helping a lot of people out. But I just can't remember exactly what it was. But it was cool to, because I was there most of the time, so I'm kind of aware of most of the stuff happening. But then there was this thing that I totally missed and was cool to learn about. And I passed to, I don't know who's missing, Mike, maybe?
Mike already went, but we can pass it to Livia.
Yeah, I should take a note of these things because there was a few times that I was like, oh, cool, this happened, but I can't remember right now. Pass you, Mitch.
Okay, cool. You could drop it in later. It's all right. Yeah, I was going through this stuff and I was like, wow, damn, Acid Laser does a lot of stuff. Like, he was getting all this praise for design work that he was doing and then work for managing the Twitter. And I was like, wow, he's actually doing a lot of like really impactful stuff. And I thought that was really cool. And it was really interesting getting all the way caught up to where we went to ETH Denver and the Taoist. So that was really cool to like go through and like have those show up in the quantifications. And I'll pass it to Bear 100. Cool. And did we get everyone here? I think we did. Speak up if I forgot you though. I see Nuggin join the call, and so I think we'll use this next half to kind of jump in and look at some data, and then maybe record any suggestions or ideas we come up with. I have it running now, Nuggin, unless you feel like showing it off, the RAD dashboard.
No, that's what you can.
What'd you say? Sorry, you cut out.
Yeah, no, it's okay. You can show it.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Cool. So this is the info here from round 8. And so we'll look at some of this stuff in the spreadsheet later, like the outliers. But if we keep going down here, we can see the praise rating distribution. So, wow, and I can't even get that line. So you can see the amount of scores that were given for the quant. So like, score of 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. 14 is impossible, so of course. But 55, 89, and like, I can't even get that. I don't even know if there was one like top score given during this round. So I guess like maybe there wasn't a lot of high impact contributions from February. Everyone was slacking off at ETH Denver. Praise award distribution. We can see the winner was Chewy. He's getting tons of praise. I can't remember why. What did Chewy do that was... Does anybody remember? He was leading lots of stuff.
In
Go ahead.
Mexico.
Oh, yeah. And all the teams that he's leading with comms. Yeah. Yeah. And then we have Tam, who gave like tons of talks, if I remember. Griff, of course. Nate, Acid Laser, Mount Manu, myself, Zep. And we keep going down the line. Yeah. That's cool. This is the spread of the average score. Nugget, what's this one again? This is the spread.
This is just showing how much how the controversials, like what numbers, what are more controversial.
136. Interesting. Okay. So not like only like 4 instances, I would say, of like really high spread here. And then some here down around the 80s. But we'll look at that a little bit more in the outlier sheet. And this is the praise flow here, so we can still see Mount Manu, the champion of dishing praise here, you know. So he's forwarding all that praise here, and we can see some of the big receivers. Again, Griff, Chewy, Lauren, Tam, Acid Laser. And you can see the flows of who dished praise to who. In the flow chart there. Christopher dished a lot of praise too, interesting. And Livy as well, of course. Ratio, well, that's cool. And Frischelle was transcribing some praise as well. So she's up there. If anyone has any questions or comments, like go ahead and just butt in, or else I'll keep talking. We don't have anything for source cred. This is the amount of praise per quantifier. A couple of you had some nice short ones, like Bear. And Livy. Wow, it got off easy this time, huh, Livy?
What is that one?
It's just like the amount of praise that was assigned to each quantifier.
Oh.
So you had 180 instead of 300.
Yeah, mine was sweet this time.
Yeah, nice. And here, this is the mean praise score per quantifier. So you can see for each quantifier, kind of like the median range of where they were staying, and then like the highest scores that they dished. So you could see most people kind of stayed around the 89 mark, and then a couple people like Bear, myself, and Lee dished out some of the highest values.
Sorry, Mitch, could you explain that again? I didn't.
This one here. So this is the scores that the quantifiers gave. So the people on the X here are all the people that were quantifying this round. And then on the Y, we have like the scores that they gave when they were quantifying. So you can see some of these people, like Aussie Cross and Tam and Yusua, they didn't actually do their quantifications. So you can see there's nothing for them. But then if we look at myself, you can see the median score was around 4. Kind of the upper there was 13 and upper fence is 21. And then there's a couple isolated instances where I gave higher values.
I see.
Does that make sense, Patty?
It does. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. And then this is the rewards received. This will look pretty much similar since I don't think source cred's been incorporated in here, Nuggin.
No, not at all. No.
Okay. Yeah, so that's the data there. And Nuggin, I'm just wondering, you were talking last week about making this more accessible.
Yeah. So basically, the new version will just export this into an HTML. So you don't have to run anything. You can just open it, and you can still scroll over the stuff and see everything exactly the same. But you don't have to select the files and run it and all that stuff.
Yeah. Start Python and make your virtual environment and run in.
All that stuff.
Oh God. Cool. Does anyone have any questions over this before we jump into the spreadsheet?
No, just as an observation, this round, as you said, was the praise range was smaller. Like when you look below, normally we have it a bit more, where the quantifiers were all between like 5 and 13 most of the time, and we had very little on the upper side. I think other months we've had it more of the range covered.
Yeah,
Maybe it was just because
yeah.
of December.
Yeah, interesting. There wasn't a lot of praise for like people giving talks or panels or whatever. Some of that top end.
When was December? Which month or which days was it?
That was mid-February.
Mid-February. Okay.
So that was right in the middle of this round.
Okay.
I have a question on that.
Yes.
Sorry. Is it possible? When did the new bot was released? Is there any chance that the praises are less because of the new bot?
No, I think it starts in April that we had the new bot. Beginning of this month. Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll see some better quality praise once we start quantifying praise that was used with the new praise bot. If we jump into the sheet here, everyone should have common access to the sheet. I dropped it in the Quantifier support channel. And so this is the full praise here. And then on this other tab, we have the outliers. And we'll be able to see some of the biggest spreads. And so the spread here, if you guys aren't familiar, is the difference between the lowest score and the highest score. So it's like maybe there was some sort of confusion, or like one person had more context than the other, or vice versa. And so you can see like some of this top one, it was like evolving the TE Academy. Somebody was like, 3. Somebody was like, wow, this is amazing. Shedding the light on modeling, making complex matters, the YGG. And again, maybe it was like a context thing, but 144 to 8. Organizing the Taoist. Yeah, that was some major praise to Chewy. Yeah, and some presentations at ETH Denver. Those are like some of our biggest praises for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can see in those top ones that is probably context stuff. Like for some people, T Academy is like totally important and really, really relevant, and maybe others think, yeah, well, it's an external organization, or I don't know, or even don't really know what it is.
Yeah.
That's why it's such a big difference, I guess.
Actually, that's interesting because looks like Bunjoy, you quantified this. I was wondering,
Yes.
I'm not. Go ahead.
So, maybe it's just like in my profession, I'm hyper technical, and every word matters. So, perhaps I should have gotten more context. But for evolving TE Academy, that to me, it's incremental, and I think that there would have been prior praise because it's my understanding that if it evolved over a period of time, so this individual would have received continuous praise throughout different periods for this act. And so I wasn't quite sure what amount of work was involved in evolving the TE Academy. But in hindsight, this is probably one where I should have gotten more context.
No, it's not something to like fault you for, but it's like it's curious just to like understand the different perspectives. That's all. Yeah,
if it would have said spent 200 hours, completing projects X, Y, and Z on platform X, Y, and Z, that then my mind would have given a higher score, but because it was so, it used these words that are open up to interpretation. I guess my mind at the time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is me. I did that.
Makes sense.
I gave it an 8. I know Acid Laser gave it an 8. Interesting. Okay, sure. Any questions about this data? Like, you guys feel free to comb through it on your own, and you guys should have comment access. I mean, there's cool. Nice. Okay. Well, we'll get into the fun part here. Based on your quantification experience or what you've seen from the RAD dashboard or these spreadsheets, would you guys suggest any improvements? We could go for a round here. Maybe I'll pass it to Zeptimus.
Oh no, I didn't wanted to start. Wow, I want to think. Can I pass it and I'll go last?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I'll pass
Nugget?
it to.
Oh, sorry. Nugget?
Well, I'm kind of thinking too. I can't think of anything right now. Maybe somebody else has an idea. Olivia?
I'm thinking on like, since it's so random, the people that quantify your contributions, sometimes it could happen that a person gets like 3 people or 4 people that know nothing about their work. And I wonder if there's any way we could measure that in the analysis somehow. Very subjective, but like, I don't know.
Related with that, I just make me think like, yeah, since the people who's quantifying might be random, and then the people who is giving the praise, like I keep coming back to this icon thing. So it's not like the icon decides how much praise it's having, but at least the people who's giving the praise is like giving some signaling how huge the contribution was. So yeah, I think like maybe like giving the praise with an icon, it would give feedback to the quantifier. I think that's a good idea.
I'm
Yeah,
looking
just
at
make them pick emojis.
my praise, for example, and then I think Tam didn't quantify, and then there's someone else too that has a score that is all zeros. Then maybe the second person also didn't quantify.
There's 3 people who didn't.
Yeah, and then all the other values are like below. Let me see.
You're looking at praise that you received or
Yeah,
that you quantified? Okay.
that I received.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like basically all zeros there in the board.
Yeah, wow. Like a lot of just like low. Because Tam, 1, 2. Yeah, 2 of the people didn't quantify at all. Hmm.
I think they get removed from the score, though, from the average score. So it looks really bad on the table, but the average score is just out of those who actually quantified.
Yeah. Yeah, but still, it's a shame because then it's like it's only taking an average of 2 instead of 4, you know. And maybe these
Yeah,
people
totally agree.
would have given her higher scores.
And
Who knows, right?
yeah, it's just curious because it was like, I don't know. I gave a talk, for example, and then that talk wasn't even, it was like a 3 in the score or something like that.
Did anyone even praise you for your talk?
Yeah,
Your
no,
talk
there was
and
praises for the talk, but then the score is like 3
Oh my
or
god.
which is, but and then Edu was quantifying, and then I just got me as an example because I know I'm like very active in the community, but I wonder what, like, how can we avoid things like this from happening, of like just not even realizing that someone is getting a super low score for like maybe unfairly.
And then it's like, that's kind of like, I'm not saying you're wrong, Livy, but then it's like, then it becomes subjective. It's like, oh, I should have gotten a higher score, and then we end up having this back and forth, right?
Yeah, no, it's totally subjective. That's why I'm wondering, like, is there any way that, I think it goes back to that point of like how well integrated people are in the community to be quantifying, or how careful they are with what they're doing. Like was it, like, if you give a score of 3, for example, for a talk, like what is your thought process in that, of like, did you hate it or what is the, do we have some type of measures for something like that? And then it's hard when it's not even contrasting with something else because the other people didn't score anything because they didn't participate, so it doesn't show in that metric that we have to see the disagreements.
I think maybe what Zepp was saying about quantifier or praise givers being able to like indicate if it was like a high impact or low impact, and then that doesn't influence the score, but it gives context to the quantifier in the end. So like if maybe they can see from the praise giver that like they thought this is super high impact, then maybe that would influence the scores they give on the other end.
Yeah, it could be all from the praisey responsibility too.
And then I don't know if we can implement that, but what if, like, we incentivize to be careful with when you're quantifying, and for example, if like 3 people give a score 21, and then someone give it 3, like, what about if like the system itself, like, give to the people that was pretty random quantifying, give a less monetary incentive. I don't know. For example, like if code C less works, like you are a juror, and then if your response is different, what's the majority, you end up losing money. So you are incentivized to do things right. I mean, I don't know, because then you're killing like freedom, but yeah, I just throw it as an idea.
Um, Yeah, we already upped it from 3 to 4. And if we do it anymore, we might not have enough quantifiers right now. But definitely something like maybe when we go down to just doing it bi-weekly and say we have like 50 quantifiers, sure, like we can add another one as like a safeguard. Okay. I'll leave like 1 or 2 more minutes and then maybe we can get some feedback on the RAD dashboard. Oh, I had an idea, damn it. Go
Also,
ahead,
I'm
Libby.
seeing there's another random one from Edu. This is right to see, right? If the oh no. Oh, that was from Mike for mentioning or retweeting T comments in the socials.
Yeah.
Oh no, never mind. I thought I
Okay.
confused with the forum. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. Somebody brought up something about self-praise, and I think it would be cool to have some sort of tag in the UI that could show that this person was praising themselves. So like that might be interesting to like add more context because some people think that self-praise should be dismissed or they get really confused by it or like somebody just happens to notice that somebody's praising themselves a lot. And so it's like it'd be cool just to have a little tag there that would just say like self-praise or something to give more context.
One question: what are the instances of that? Like, I know for the common swarm, it was like self-praise was the way you would tell how many hours you've worked. So at the end of the week, they'd say, "Hey, praise Sam for X hours of work on the bonding curve," and that was how Freshell or whoever knew how many hours they had worked. And the other one that I remember where people used to self-praise when there was some kind of, meeting. If you organized a meeting and then praised everybody who joined, like a RAM party, for example, people used to praise themselves too because they were there. So, apart from that, is it common that people just say, praise myself for the cool forum post I did or something?
I mean, I'm kind of shameless. I do that, but like if you really see that like you did something and it's like kind of a background thing that maybe you won't get praised for, it's like it's cool to have it in there. Like if example like Livy was like nobody praised me for that talk I did, like what? And so like she can praise herself and at least that gets recorded somewhere.
Yeah, I think self-praise is very valuable.
Yeah.
But it's cool to have it so that people understand that it's self-praise, so that like if it gets out of control, people can use their discretion.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. If it gets abused, we need to stop it. But I don't think was being abused in the TC.
I don't think so. There were some people who got confused with Mount Manu praising himself, but he was just probably just transcribing stuff that other people said about him.
Yeah, Mitch, I was the one who brought up praise. I saw Tam praise herself for, I think it was the talk actually. And just like you said, sometimes we do these really big projects or time consuming activities and it's obscure. People don't know about it. It's not publicized. I think it's perfectly fine to do that. And I agree with you that collecting, we will have the data on it. So we'll be able to see if people giving themselves praise in the aggregate tend to give a higher score than the rest of the quantifiers. So I think that's good data to have.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Any other points here before we move on to feedback for the RAD dashboard?
I don't know if this question was phrased this way, but how can we understand when a quantifier is just giving random values?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder if there's some metric of seeing like based on how we capture disagreements between quantifiers. And then if it's like, if a quantifier consistently shows up as having the most disagreements, then maybe we see that either they're giving random values or maybe they don't understand something. That's just
But
off the top of my head.
I mean,
Go
if
ahead,
they
Doug.
were really giving completely random values, it would probably show up in the mean score table, right? Because they would be giving they would be all over the place. If it's just says between 3 and 21 or something, maybe it's just that they disagree with the majority. But it's really hard to split hairs there. What is legitimate quantification and what is just random guessing? I
Like
think
1 to 8, randomly. So it's so low, the discrepancy, that you can't really see if they were actually valuing something.
yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, it's a good point to determine whether it's truly random or if it's just a product of ignorance and not doing your due diligence. If they're just using a bot that just assigns random scores, yeah, I think that's something we should solve. But I think these wide discrepancies are a product of ignorance and people not doing their due diligence. So I think if we solve that, then this will fall into place.
Yeah, I think also people not doing their due diligence would show up probably in dismissals, I'd guess. Like when lots of people dismiss something and they don't, that is kind of, I think, a strong signal that that person may not know exactly what they are doing, I'd say.
Yeah, that's usually often what happens. People say like, "Hey, I dismissed all these things," and it was like, "Well, they're legit," and usually they didn't understand what's going on.
And this is,
yeah. Yes, go ahead, Libby.
last thing, and this is probably a problem, like not something so cool to put in, but what if we start to get many very randomly wrong or weird final results? Should we have a way to challenge them? Like, hey, I want to challenge my quantification, or I want to, is there any way for you to disagree with value that was assigned to you? Octopus had brought up this point a while ago, that was somehow important.
Mm-hmm. Cool. That's definitely some good stuff to chew on. We got 5 minutes left, and we'll just keep moving on here. Based on what you've seen in the RAD dashboard here, would anyone like to make any suggestions? Maybe some data that would be cool to see, or something that could be clarified more? I think it would be really nice to see something like what you were talking about, like mapping out disagreements, like with dismissals and duplicates. I think we might have mentioned it in a different call, but like being able to understand the amount of disagreements that happened, or being able to clearly identify where they were.
Yeah, I think Jiwei is working on something like that, probably. Like she did her forum post with the disagreements, and I think I can ask her to see how it's going. But at least of the dismissals and stuff, I think she was definitely working on something on that front.
Mm-hmm. Any other feedback for the RAD dashboard? Nice. Okay. Any last minute comments for the review session? Patty, was this helpful for you? I know this is your first time.
Hi, yes, it was great actually. Finally, I got to watch the whole meeting, and yeah, it was awesome. I look forward to work and give me an idea of how serious this is. It was cool to see all the effort, all the questions raised, and yeah, I look forward to working with you guys on this.
Yeah, nice. You could join the pool party. Get you in there.
Yes, thank you.
Wonderful. Any last minute comments from anyone else? Cool. Well, we seem to get a lot of really good info here. And so I guess we'll just wrap it up a couple minutes early. Thanks everyone for joining the review session. We'll be opening up the new Quant tomorrow morning for March, and we'll do this again same time next week.
Cool. Thanks, Mitch.
Thanks, Mitch.